Eddie Aikau was a championship athlete, big wave surfer, a waterman, and a family man who put others before himself. Eddie was the first lifeguard at Waimea Bay and the first for the entire North Shore, and saved over 500 people throughout his whole career. Eddie saved hundreds of lives with only one surfboard and fins, no jet skis, no helicopters, in 60-foot waves. He also caught the biggest wave at Waimea Bay up until the 2016 Eddie, which was as big as the current Eddie in 2023. Eddie went for his last rescue when his boat, the Hokulea, capsized in the middle of the ocean. Their boat was about 12 miles from Molokai. In an attempt to get to land and save his crew, Eddie paddled out on his surfboard to try and get help. The boat was later spotted by an airplane and saved, but Eddie was never found. He prioritized putting others first, and his legacy has been carried on today through the Eddie Aikau Big Wave Invitational. Eddie Rothman and some others founded the event with major sponsor Quicksilver as the host. It ran for years, but then in 2016, Quicksilver stepped down as the sponsor and left the Aikaus with nothing. Eddie's brother, Uncle Clyde Aikau, took it over after Quicksilver stepped down. Clyde expressed that it was terrible. No sponsors, they were asking for donations from people and trying to put the event back together again in Eddie's honor. Always for Clyde, the event was to honor his brother's life and legacy in the best way possible. The Eddie Aikau Big Wave Invitational currently is not a corporate event. It was a dig in your pockets and help us out, says Uncle Clyde. The Eddie Aikau Foundation raises money for the event, and most of the event's biggest sponsors were local companies like Hawaiian Airlines and Kona Brewing Co., which all started in Hawaii. It is an immense challenge to run this event and has to be coordinated with governments, police, and public safety groups. In order to run the Eddie, wave heights need to reach 20 feet consistently, and that is Hawaiian measurement, measuring from the back of the wave, meaning the face of the wave is double in size. Trying to decide when to have it is near impossible. No forecasters can see when the waves will be big enough for sure, and there are always doubts. Uncle Clyde expressed that they had 6 forecasters, and none were on the same page for this year's Eddie. And none of them knew if the swell would be big enough and clean enough to run. How do you make the call? When everyone is ready, thousands of people waiting, it's a one-day deal. Once the ball is moving, it's hard to call it off. But this is what makes this competition so special. To have all the preparation and people in place for one day and the waves don't show up, the event's ruined. This year the Eddie was scheduled, but had to be ultimately called off because of the conditions.
Of course, since 2016, big wave surfers, big wave riders, and the entire surfing community has been waiting for the next Eddie. And I'm standing here next to Clyde Aikau.
You know, it's been a very difficult few weeks monitoring this swell that has been created halfway around the world. Wind conditions, the size of the swell, very difficult decision. The Eddie is officially canceled for Wednesday.
Looks like the Eddie is a no-go.
We haven't seen a swell this big in a while.
However, there is a little bit of light in this situation. They're really aiming for January 22nd.
I hope to see you on the 22nd at Waimea Bay. Thank you so much, Dennis.
It was estimated that crowds of 50,000 were gathered to watch. People were gathering on beaches and getting hit by waves. People were on the cliffs, on the trees, anywhere that they could get a view of the waves. Although this crowd of people gave back to the community in a way. People from their homes were selling food, items, and parking spots to people coming to see the event. This year's event was 40 to 60 foot, with some even bigger sets, and the bay completely closing out on some. This year's competition was marked in history as one of the biggest days ever to run the competition. Here are some words from Clyde Aikau. I've never tried to compare the Eddie with any other surf competitions around the world. We want to honor Eddie, and the news and broadcast coverage was only to honor him. There was no intent to make it the biggest surf event in the world. It just happened. It was always to focus on the tribute and what that means. In every race, you have a deep spirituality you can't explain. The spirituality for the Aikau family is in the sugarcane, the fruit, the trees, the waterfalls, the rocks, and cliffs that are in Waimea. The whole area is spiritual. You can't name it, you can't describe it. It's in the ancestral lineage of the Aikau family. The day was special, with people competing on the world's biggest surfing stage all day, and it was close. But this year's winner was Luke Shepardson, a lifeguard at Waimea, who grew up on the North Shore. He was even on shift during the contest, surfing and working at the same time. This brings it full circle, to have a lifeguard win the contest after Eddie was the first lifeguard at Waimea. It's truly special. Thousands of connections were made during this event, all connected back to Eddie. One of the most important things for Uncle Clyde was to have people connect to Eddie. The broadcast also shared Hawaiian traditions with the world, reaching millions. This year, Eddie Aikau was on the front page of the German newspaper and was known around the world. Hawaiians and their culture, coming from a small island that has been oppressed, is now being shown around the world by Hawaiians. And every person who was at this event felt that mana, felt that strength. It means a lot. And this is why this competition is not just about surfing. It's more.